Solasta 2 may have almost Mass Effect Andromeda levels of goofy face animations, but it does also have the bones of what could be the most faithful and best D&D adaptation game. Let's look into why. The game stars the Colwall Family, our adventuring party, which we create at character creation entirely. All of our 4 characters are created by us, siblings of an orphanage. Now, while I usually do prefer to have fully written NPC characters to be our party members, and has been absolutely effective, and I find usually leads to better storytelling in a video game. Despite that, having our adventuring party made up of player characters that are entirely made by us, the players, actually mirrors real D&D experience. When you play a real D&D tabletop game, it's you and your friends. The party is made up of all original characters that we have all came together to make up, which of course would be eventually possible through Solasta multiplayer. But at first glance, I was under the impression that this being a single player experience, that would be a slight. But Solasta 2 managed to surprise me on this front, and the way that it did that is by a choice that's presented to us in the first 10 minutes of the game. We are asked to designate. After character creation, when we're past and already playing into the game a little bit, we are faced with the narrative choice to decide who in our party is a golden child, who is a top student, who is a scapegoat, and who is a substitute, which is the one that I had the hardest time understanding, like I guess secondary golden child, substitute, you know. But this is fantastic. It reminds me of when you're in a real D&D game and somebody asks a question, another player character, to your character, or an NPC perhaps, of a question about your character that you did not write in your backstory, whether it be something major or something minor. In that moment, you are left to improv and decide quickly a choice about something that existed in the past about your character. And in that moment of the real play, in game, not in character creation, is something changed about your character forever. In this way, in D&D real play, your character's backstory and your character's identity is actually almost more created through real play, and definitely has more interesting, what we call character development, through the actual play of the game, through questions and learning things about your character and creating new characteristics about your character whilst playing. This is the improv magic of D&D storytelling that you experience while truly playing real Dungeons and Dragons. It's what makes the tabletop experience so unrivaled compared to video game RPGs where everything is within a box of what's possible. And while that still will be the case with Solasta 2, it looks to break the barriers and try to bend them at least a little bit to make it feel like more of a sandbox narrative experience. Not just, even though it is eventually just a crossroad of paths, a crossroad of choices, it is more of a freedom of character. By deciding who your character is and who your party and how their family dynamics evolve through playing the game. I swear this is where I spotted before.
I'm sure I can figure it out.
As always, you've got all the answers.
Sadly, in early access, this is the only time that we're presented with this kind of narrative choice that defines our characters from there on forward. I pray and I hope that this is not just an early game delayed character creation situation. This is a mechanic that Solasta 2 should use throughout the entire game, asking these kind of questions to designate things about your party member of the Colwall family, to find out who each family member is through more of these questions, not just who's the substitute, who's the golden child, who's this and that. We should have these narrative choices about our player characters where we designate to change who the party is narratively multiple times throughout the game. Many times, hopefully. If Tactical Adventures development team manages to notice this and hopefully uses it through more facets and has more of these kind of character defining choices later on throughout the game, they have the best shot, I find, out of any of the other mechanics in the game to capture the essence of a true D&D tabletop game. This is my number one reason, and it's by far the most weighted reason out of all the reasons I'm going to give to the rest. Let's hope that Tactical Adventures capitalizes on this and really uses this system, because they could be, honestly, the first to kind of do it in this way. There are many other games that have branching choices and branching narrative paths that you choose one way or the other, but few ask retroactive questions about your character. Your backstory of your character is determined all mostly before in character creation. Not before have I seen an RPG game where we decide the past during playing. And what's more is this is compounded by we decide the past for 4 people, our full family. And by presenting 4 choices that you put to all these different 4 people, we create an infinite amount of permutations if we keep having multiple of these narrative backstory decisions throughout the game, rather than just the question of one time in the beginning of the game, who's the golden child, who's the substitute, who's the scapegoat. Continue to present these kind of choices, and we have absolute smorgasbord of narrative deliciousness. If they can pull that off, Solasta 2 might be the best D&D adaptation. Okay, now number 2, the next reason that it has its chance to be the best D&D adaptation is the open world system. This being able to go wherever you want and run into different on the map, different things that you can find on the map, and also random encounters that are not displayed on the map, also mirrors the sandbox experience of playing a D&D game, where you kind of feel like you can go wherever you want, explore whatever you want, and there'll actually be stories to be had there. Here's hoping that the quality of these random encounters is, has a bit of polish to it, because it could certainly just be open world full of slop, as we've seen in all different genres these days with the open world fatigue that we experience. But let's hope that this is a true living open world and not just an empty sandbox. The next feature is the rest system, allowing for more short rests and properly running the hit die system. Having long rests need to be taken at a campfire or a specific place that's away from danger is an important part of Dungeons and Dragons as well. BG3 doesn't quite capture the rest system in the perfect way that equates to how important it can be to managing your resources. In BG3, they kind of have their adaptation for the rest system being based mostly off of party supplies to limit you. Whereas in this case, where we need to find a safe place to long rest, this is how real Dungeons and Dragons manages resource management. I'm excited for the rest system. I think it'll actually make a large difference in the flow of gameplay. I'm even excited because it is a video game versus a tabletop game we might experience the rest system more faithfully to how it should be in real tabletop D&D in Solasta 2. I don't know about y'all, but most of the games that I've played of real D&D, it's only 1 or 2 encounters per day, We don't really have to resource manage very often with the way most DMs run things, which is hard to pull off, honestly, as a DM. I'm interested to see if Solasta 2 can pull it off better than other DMs I've played with, and maybe even better than me as a DM as well, The rest system actually makes a big difference. Resource management really changes the way the balance of D&D works, and changes the way it's built into the game as part of balance of classes that get things back on short rests versus classes that get a lot more back on a long rest. The full casters, a disparity we talk about a lot in D&D, is full casters are viewed as much stronger than full marshals. Part of that reasoning is that we don't have as many encounters per day as we probably should. The game's balanced around 3 to 4 encounters per day, versus most of the time we play 1 to 2 encounters per day. And this ends up making caster classes a lot stronger than maybe they're designed to be. Number 4, readied actions. Now, while it's not quite as free as a D&D readied action, currently we only have the option to ready an attack for when something comes into range, only 1 trigger. In D&D, you can set your trigger to be many different things. It would be nice, hopefully later on through the early access process, they add some other kind of trigger rather than just entering range. But just this faith of having the enter range thing be an option, this is the most common reason why you'd want to ready an action. It's for you're not in range of anything. So I'm happy that they've at least put that in. And the final reason that it can be the most faithful D&D adaptation is proper spellcasting rules. I'm talking not being able to cast a leveled spell with an action and a bonus action. I'm talking components, both somatic and material. In Solasta, you're forced to have a spellcasting focus for things that require material component, like it is in real D&D, and you're also required to have a hand free to do somatic components of spells. Now, this is currently circumventable by the 2 weapon sweat and the fact that you're allowed to unlimitedly swap from offhand to main hand, or set 2 of weapons to set 1 of weapons. Actually, currently in Solasta 2 early access, you can even swap weapons from your inventory freely without any action cost as many times as you want. So this is currently kind of a fake proper D&D feature. Here's hoping that that eventually gets changed throughout early access. But I am happy to see that we are having mainly the no bonus action and action function of casting level spells in the game, but it's also a nice touch to have proper spell components added to the game as well as components that cost money not being able to be replaced by spellcasting focus is also in the game. That's a nice touch too. Got to keep an eye out for a diamond to get my chromatic orb. Do you think that the Solasta 2 has a chance to be the best adaptation game, or is this just a little too low budget for your taste? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Tune in next time. You know, we'll be seeing a lot more Solasta 2 content as it becomes rolled out. We're big D&D guys here. I've been DMing for a few years now and playing in multiple campaigns. I love D&D and love you too for supporting me, man. Thanks so much. Or woman, watching the video, leaving a like, all that, it means so much to me. So thank you.